Columbus High School, they're the Mighty Cardinals in Columbus, Texas. And they were in a state track meet where I guess the winner would move on to the state championships in track, and they won the 4x100 meter relay. And the anchor of that was a guy named Derek Hayes. And as he crossed the finish line in victory, he pointed to the sky. I don't know whether his hand was up high or here or whatnot. I saw a news report on it. There's no photo of it, but he clearly pointed up. Banned from going to finals, the win taken away from them.
It's the most insane thing I've ever heard.
According to runnersworld.com, state scholastic rules prohibit excessive celebrations, which include raising one's hand. Obviously, that I think is part to prevent sort of outpouring of religion. But whatever it was, enough. And so everybody's like, look, and his father says, I think he was giving thanks to God. Which, by the way, as you run across the finish line to win a race, if you want to give thanks to God in a state public high school, have at it.
Yeah, for the record, God wasn't involved. Right. But if you want to thank him anyway.
Right. If you want to thank God.
No, God was. He hated the other three teachers.
Oh, yeah. They didn't pray enough.
Yeah, and they had eaten shrimp the night before. Now, you can't raise your hand, so you can't be like, yeah, I won.
Is that
you can't like point like this, like I'm number one.
Isn't the stereotypical thing when you run through is you do that? That's what every runner I've seen.
I'm going to guess he was very clearly, as we see some people do, doing this, pointing up.
Are they going to ban Usain Bolt next? Because he's doing this. He could be pointing to God.
I just the state the ban on prayer in schools has been broken down pretty solidly. Any kid is allowed to believe in God. A kid is allowed to cross himself before he eats. This is clearly legal. This is clearly a giant mistake, because what it does, of course, is just give sort of an opportunity for the Sean Hannitys of the world to jump in and talk again about sort of the kid wants to thank God because God gives him strength and he feels like that helped him run. Good for him.
Yeah, and so there's the great irony here that agnostics, atheists, etc., like us, liberals, however you want to characterize it, would actually be the first to defend Christians.
That's right.
Because we actually believe in a liberal democracy. So in the sense that if the government actually started to crack down on Christians, who would leap to their defense first? We would, right?
We talked about in the break before, we talked about the simplicity and the clarity of the First Amendment.
Yeah.
That not establishing a religion nor prohibiting the free exercise thereof. I get it. Both those parts are in there. They're equally important.
They are equally important, and so there's like the idea that we would be like, yes, let's ignore one of those parts and get all the Christians. I mean, it's absurd, but it's beyond that. I think, again, anytime a minority is picked on, Christianity is not a minority at this point, but even if they were picked on, we'd step up to defend them if it was wrong. And in this case, it's, I think, clearly wrong. Let them go. Let them go to the state. It's ridiculous.
I would say, going back to your last point, like whenever I see a poll, like, okay, in 2013, the percentage of Christians has dropped by 3%. I go like this. But that's not because they're being killed or wiped out. But that's a natural evolution. Like, that's fine.
No. I'll go even further than that. I'm coming for their kids. Okay, like I want to convince their kids not to believe in Christianity, so I can free them from the the dogma and the
That's one of the reasons I want to be on here.
Right. Okay. So now that'll make their heads explode. But none of that involves persecution.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just we're having a free debate of ideas.
Quick example though. So I think that this is overboard, but I was in favor. I think it was in Texas as well when there had been traditionally prayers given at graduation. I don't want there to be prayers at graduation.
Nope, I agree. Yeah, that's
okay. So that's not overboard.
It's a different thing.
Okay, yeah, I think that's too much. So it alienates atheists.
Look, when you get to the issue of rights, it's different than, hey, I'm trying to convince Muslims not to be Muslim, trying to convince Christians not to be Christian. Then you get into, but like if you say, well, okay, if you practice your Christianity, we're not going to let you do it. That's a whole different ballgame, and I would be 1,000,000% against that. In schools, it's a tough line because where does it cross over to the school sanctioning it? Like prayers before a high school football game. I'm actually probably on the wrong side of that legally, but I just think, go ahead and do it.
No, and I'm not. I mean, and a prayer before graduation, if it's a non-denominational prayer, I could be persuaded that it was okay.
Yeah, and so that's a real fine line. But this kid
don't care either way.
Right, right. And really, and if they pray, I mean, I know for some of the kids it's intimidating, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. But I mean, I hope I raise my kid that he's strong enough. Like, oh, there goes the Christians again. Okay, oh yeah, please.